We are going to be covering detailing updates in SDS2 2020. I am Ryan Vanek. I've been working at SDS2 for 19 years now, working in the support department and now in research and development and doing webinars and previously seminars. But today we are going to be covering detailing updates in SDS2 2020. Some of the things that we're going to be covering will be kind of flipping back and forth between modeling in the first couple of sections because they're tied closely together. The first item is going to be welds that we're going to cover, some of the new items in 2020, size and length visibility, and then some information on moment flange prep. Bolts, nuts, and washers in the bill of material, breaking those out and having them on individual lines in the bill of material. Detailing erection views. For detailing, it's kind of a new filter we'll look at, manual versus automatic. Previously having to do those in two separate areas, now it's kind of all combined into one to make it easier for everybody to use. And then we're gonna finish up with detail views, kind of views that give us a more detailed look at a certain area that can be blown up or kept the same size, but I can have different annotations on those, and I'll show you how you can utilize that new feature. So we're going to first of all start out with welds. Let's go ahead and open up our drawing editor and talk about the size and length visibility first. So we're just going to go into my first drawing here, B3, and we have a weld symbol here. We'll go ahead and edit that weld symbol. And we will see that next to our size and length fields, we have the option for showing it as visible or not visible. Now this is represented as a little I. If it has a cross, a red mark through it, that means it's not visible. If I want to turn on the length for that, I can click on it. Now my length will be visible. I have a nice preview here that shows me exactly how it's going to look. If I want to turn on my other side weld, I see that preview updates on the fly. But what we're concerned about is the size and length. If I want to turn off the size, I can do that and have that information shown or not shown. Now, along with that being shown or not shown, let's go ahead and turn that back off. A couple of other things while we're in this weld field. We have the option, and this has been in there for a while now, where you can put a stud weld. Now with that stud weld, previously in 2018, I would always get a 0 for my size, count, and pitch for that. Now, if I put a 0 in there, we'll see what it has. It would always come up with, I had to have a number value in there. Now in 2020, I can take that number value out. I can just get the stud symbol there, but not actually have the size, count, or pitch show up in any manner. Okay, so let's go back into the model itself and take a look. And if we open up, let's just go to our ISO plan. And I'm going to grab a couple of members right here. Let's grab these 3 members, and we're going to hide unselected members. And I didn't grab the one that I wanted. There we go, that'll be easier. We'll hide unselected members, and we'll go ahead and turn this all to solid. So let's take a look at a couple of things of welds here in the model. I'm going to go ahead and edit. Let's go off the edit connection. Let's go to our filter and let's go to welds. And we're going to edit this weld right here. And you'll see that I do have those visibility options for the size and length. You'll notice that this screen looks very similar to everything's the same as what we had in the drawing editor portion. Now I see that in the modeling portion, that's been in there in 2018 as well. Now, one thing that we also have in the model here done for welds is if I go to my options pull down window, under fabricator options, connection, detailing, and fabrication options, we have the option to do weld prep on moment flange plates. So if I have a bevel groove weld on a moment flange plate, do I want to prep that plate or not? I have an example of that right here where we now will prep that plate. Previously, I would have gotten my plate without the preps with the weld buried inside of that material. Now it'll actually do the preps. And I can turn that off and on in my setup as I want it. The next item was bolts, nuts, and washers. These first two items are going to be kind of quick. They'll be more detailed in the when we get into detailing erection views and the detail views. But the bolts, nuts, and washers listed separately in the bill of material. So there's a couple of different options or ways to get at this. The first thing, if I go to my fabricator options and I go into my bolt detailing and fabrication options, now this is the setting that is going to be the default. So if I come in here and I look, I have the option to break my bolt, nut, washers into their separate lines in the bill of material. So bolt, nut, washer broken out in the bill of material. If I check this, any new member that I put in is going to have those broken out in the bill of material. Now, if I do check this and I have an existing model and I want to update that, I do have to reprocess the model in order to get that. And beware that any graphical connection that's not going to go through process isn't going to get broken out. So I may have to do that manually, which we'll get to here in a second. But this is the overriding option that's in setup. We're going to uncheck that, and we are going to go into an actual connection. Let's go ahead and show the rest of our model here. And we're going to just go right up here to this connection. And we'll look at these bolts right here. So let's take it off welds and let's go to bolts, and let's edit this bolt right here. So in each individual bolt, I have the option for bolt, nut, washer broken out in the bill of material. So that's that same option. This is just, if that was checked in the model, I reprocess, this is going to be checked here. But if I only want maybe a certain number of members or a certain group of members to have this, I can do that separately and I can check this here. Now, all of these bolts, these 3 bolts right here are in the same group. So all of them will get checked. So if I check that on one of them and I edit this bolt, I will see that that is also checked. So within that same group, it's going to get the bolts broken out, or that same feature. If I edit this one right here, it is not going to be broken out because they're in a separate group. So group by group, I can decide how I want that to show up in my bill of material. So let's go ahead and take a look at that in the bill of material, or in the drawing editor, and we'll change that back to default, and we will show the detail for B59. It's going to redetail that because that option has changed. It needs to redetail that. We'll go ahead and detail that and take a look and see what it did to our bill of material. So now we have that member up here. Doesn't look any different on the drawing, but if I go into my bill of material, I will notice that I do have 3 washers, 3 bolts, and 3 nuts called out there. So it does separate those into those different lines in the bill of material. Now be aware that any export that I do, say a KISS file or a Strumis file, any of those MRP that I'm exporting out to, they have to be able to recognize what these are. I know that this was done for a lot of those different softwares, but everything that's done inside here has to translate to your MRP software. Now there is an option while I'm in here that I can edit this bolt right here. So if I double click on this bolt and edit it, I do have the option to break that apart or not break that apart here. Now this doesn't do this whole group. This is each individual bolt. In Drawing Editor, it doesn't know that these are grouped together. So if I uncheck this right here and I edit this bolt, it is still checked. So I have to do those each individually in Drawing Editor. Now I did uncheck this one. So if I go and look in my let's cancel that. If I go and look in my bill of material, If I can click the right button here, there we go. Now I only have 2 nuts and washers called out, 2 bolts, and it added another 3/4 inch diameter. So it grouped all those together on the fly. If I do it in the model, I have to re-detail this in order for that bill to update. But if I do it here in Drawing Editor, it automatically updates the bill of material. So just be aware of that. Now I'm going to go back to setup because there was a couple options that I didn't cover while I was there. We'll go back into our bolt detailing and fabrication options. Now in 2018, I believe this is in 2018 that we added this, where bolt callouts and nut callouts, we had the option to include units of measure and have a diameter, the diameter name or diameter symbol or none. We've added washer callout for that as well. So I can include different items there for my bolts, nuts, and washers now, along with breaking that out individually. And I can modify those. So now I want to say it's broken out again, and just to preview, it comes back and there's 3 nuts, 3 bolts, and 3 washers that are separated out there. Okay, so that's our bolts, nuts, and washers listed separately in the bill of material. The next thing we're going to get into, we're going to go back into the model and we're going to talk a little bit about our erection view detailing. Now, it's a little bit more than erection view detailing because there's some options that affect erection views in the model as well, and how I view those in lists. So I'm going to go ahead and close out a drawing editor here. We're not going to save that. So I'm going to go into the model here, and the first thing that we're going to cover is for detailing. So this is a filter that I can use to filter out specific erection view drawings. Maybe I want those in a separate list. I don't want anybody to maybe mess with those, be changing my depth check or doing some of those things that you do while you're doing some modeling. I want to keep those separate from everything else. We have this tag for detailing. So I'm going to go ahead and let's just open up second floor plan. And I'm going to go up here to our little area from last webinar, and we're going to add a new erection view line. So I'm going to just pick these 2 points. So where this comes into play here is for detailing. So when I add an erection view or add an erection view, I have this option to mark it for detailing. This doesn't mean that this is only going to get detailed. This is the only drawing that's going to get detailed. This means that it's a filter that I can switch between lists. So I can still detail any erection view in the model. So I'm going to mark this one for detailing. There's another option, make this my default view, which we'll get into here in a second. So we're just going to mark this for detailing, and we're going to go ahead and say okay. Now I didn't give it a name, so it didn't create it, but we'll just call this one 2020, and we'll say mark for detailing. We'll go ahead and say okay. So now we have our new 2020 grid line here. And where this comes into play is when I do an open view or when I detail my erection view. So if I say open view right now, we will see that 2020 does not show up in that list because because I set it for mark for detailing. None of these other views are set mark for detailing. Over here on the right hand column, I have these filters, show for detailing. If I click on that, it is going to show me the views that I have created that are for detailing. So my number 1 and my 2020 show up in this list, but if I uncheck that, they do not show up in my default list that comes up. Like I said, I can still pick those other ones, pick these for detailing or to detail these, or I can go ahead and edit some of these and maybe make them for detailing. Maybe if I want to hide them later on in the process, I can edit it and do that as well. So I'm going to say for detailing, there's those. I can pick this one and go to that view. So if we go to that view, now we're in that 2020 view. I go open view, it's still list for my show for detailing, uncheck that. Now I will say beware of this, that it did remember that I had show for detailing, If I go into my open view at one point and I say, I don't have any views there, check the show for detailing or show erector, because that might be checked and you're not seeing those other views. Even if you don't have anything marked for detailing, you'll just get a blank area there. Now you also see show erector though there. Those are going to be views that are created in the erector station, that we can mark those as for erector view. I cannot set in a modeling station without the erector station a view for erector. Now these views will only be set as for detailing if I manually do that myself. The only exception is if I do a save view as. If I do a save view as, because I'm in a 2020 that is marked for detailing, I do a save view as, it will carry that over to the new view. It retains that. But if I do a save area or I create a new view, unless I manually mark that for detailing, it will not show up for detailing. There are a couple of other options here under the show. This wasn't in 2018, but I can filter through, and maybe I only want to see my secondary. I can see my secondary erection views here. Maybe I only want to see my placement only. There's my ISO view. I marked that as placement only. So I can do a little filtering here as well with the different types of views that I have. Now, I did say that I would cover the use as default. When I did create that new view, let's go up here and let's just create another new view. Now, let's go back to our second floor plan. And let's create another view right here. Now you will see that there's an option here, make this my default view. What that is going to do is, when I create an erection view, I will have this option here. When I edit an erection view, it will no longer be there. But let's say that I'm creating this view and I say, make this my default view. So let's call this one 2021. And we're gonna say, make this my default view. Well, what does that actually do? Well, I'm gonna exit out of modeling here, and I'm gonna open modeling back up. And what you will see is that it is going to open modeling up in view 2021 and not make me go through the process of selecting a view to open. So it's kind of a default view of what do I want to see when I go into modeling, when I open up the modeling window. Now, maybe I did that on accident. I don't want to see that way anymore. If I go to my open view, I have this option for clear default. That clear default's going to clear that out. So now if I exit out of modeling and come back in, I'm going to get the open view window up. But maybe I want to set something that I had already created. Maybe I want my ISO view to be my default view. I can come over here and I can say use as default. We'll go ahead and go into my ISO view. We're going to go ahead and exit out of modeling again and come back into modeling. And it is not prompting me, it's opening it up in that isometric view. So you don't have to make the decision right away what you want as a default view, or if it changes throughout the project, you can modify that through your open view. So I go to open view, all of that information is there. So that is the for detailing filter. Like I said, it is just a filter. You still can detail any view, and we're going to see that here in a second when we go to our detailing erection view. But beware that when you go and open up a drawing, if that is checked, that information is only going to show those for detailing. They are not going to show up in the list when that is unchecked. So they're two separate lists. Unlike the show, if I uncheck primary, I still see all those. So this is kind of a separate filter for what I want to see. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to go into, because I said this affects my open view and also my detail erection views. So if I go into detail erection views, we'll see a little bit different window here. Now, on my opening slide, I had automatic versus manual. Well, it's not really versus, they're kind of combined. They are combined into one window now. Before, you used to have to go manual detail erection views or detail erection views. So they were two separate commands. Now we have it all into one command. Now, the first thing you'll see is a little bit different of icons next to the views themselves. There's some that are plain text type things, text type icons. There's some red and some blue. Over here, I have a show that tells me what that actually is. So the legend over here shows me that the red ones are set to automatic detail, the blue ones are set to manual detail, and the plain text ones are not detailed. So maybe I just want to see my not detailed ones, I can uncheck those, and these are the ones that have not been detailed yet. Maybe I want to see my automatic detail ones and I want to just detail those. I can go ahead and sort through those with those icons. So what does that actually mean as far as manual, automatic? When I have a view that has not been detailed yet, I have the option to tell it if I want to do it automatic, which is going to be the traditional detail erection views, and I go through my detailing erection views. Or I can say manual. So manual will allow me to pull up that manual detail erection view where I can select that I want these certain members in wire, these certain members in solid, or a mixture of stick wire and solid, however I want to do that. And that's what I can do with manual. So if I said okay here, it would bring up that manual erection view with the drawing, and I could do all of that. We're going to do that here in a second, but we'll go ahead and start with automatic. Now, if I select a view that has already been created, there is an option here that says use stored method. So this one is automatic. That is how it's going to be detailed. Now, maybe I want to do this one as a manual erection view now. I've changed my mind. I want to change something to wire or something to solid. I can come in here and uncheck this, and now I can make this a manual erection view. Or I could just use a stored method, which is automatic, and it will go through that automatic. Now, when I'm detailing, some of them are automatic, some of them are manual. If I come in here and I select these four right here, and I say okay, it is going to do the automatic ones first. It's going to go through and detail those, and then it's going to come up with my manual erection views, which I will show here in just one second. Now, I will tell you that mezzanine and stair tower that I've created here that are manual erection views, I did not do those as a manual erection view to start out with. I created those as automatic erection views. I went into that drawing and doing an operation such as hiding members. So if I go in there and I say delete this member and it hides it, it will make that a manual erection view. So the next time I come in to redetail, it'll be marked as manual. I'll have to go through that manual erection view process in order for that member to stay hidden. If I switch that over to automatic, that member will show back up. So just a little heads up there. So let's go ahead and detail some erection views here. So we're going to go ahead and do a manual erection view, and we'll just go ahead and select a drawing here. We'll go to our second floor plan, and by default it comes up, and I had changed it to manual, so it's set at manual, and we're going to do this one in the manual erection view, but we're also going to grab some of our automatic ones. Let's go ahead and pick those two right there just to show you what it actually does when we do our manual erection view. And we are going to pick the stair tower one as well and let it go through that. So we'll go ahead and say okay here. And here it shows me that I am in my drawing D, and it's giving me the option to select members that I want to make as wire, stick, solid. I selected those, made those wire. If I come in here and I want to do this one as solid opaque, I can do that as solid opaque. Now, let's say that I didn't want to do these as manual erection views. There is an option that I can cancel this view or cancel all views. So I don't have to go, I selected a bunch of members and I accidentally selected manual for all of them. I can go ahead and cancel out of that if I don't want to actually go through that detailing. So I'm gonna go ahead and say cancel all views. Go back in here. And I'm gonna select a couple of drawings here. We're gonna pull that up again. Now, along with that, we also have display options that are saved within this manual operation. So when I do my manual erection views, you'll see some lines in my display options that have asterisks next to them. And then just to make sure you know for sure that these are the ones that are getting used, we also made it red over here in our select all. So these options are actually saved with this manual erection view. If I come over here and change my member orientation indicators, and let's go ahead and turn those on, but we can go down here and we can say that we only want to see those for everything but wide flange, and we say okay. Now it turned off my member orientation indicators for just my wide flange. So now when I detail this, it's going to store that information. Maybe I want to see all of my grid lines but grid line 2.1, which I know is a secondary erection view. So I come in here and I can turn off 2.1, say, okay, now grid line 2.1 is not going to show up. So those display options are going to affect what we actually see. So we're going to go ahead and go to next drawing. Now it went through and redetailed those. Let's go ahead and open up Drawing Editor and see what we came up with. So if we go into Drawing Editor, we go to Erection Views, and we did Grid Line D. We will see that our member orientation indicators are shut off and our 2.1 is not shown. So just to prove to you that those display options do affect what we see there. Now, this one was done as a manual erection view. If we go back to our open view, actually, let's go to our detail erection views. And we have our roof plan, which is an automatic view. Let's go to our roof plan. And I'm simply going to come in here and select this member and select delete. So now that is hidden. I didn't actually delete it. It's not gone for good. There's still a member there. But if I go back and let's just go ahead and save this. And let's go back to our detail erection views. We will now see that roof plan is set to a manual erection view. So doing that hiding will make it manual. If I go through that detailing process again, so let's go ahead and edit this and let's go to roof plan and let's redetail roof plan. We will see that that member is hidden, not showing up. It's in gray there. So that's what's going to come across. Now, maybe I want to show it here, going through the manual erection view, or maybe I want to change something else. That is going, that member that I hid was going to be stored, but maybe now we want this to be wire. Let's grab this whole section here, change that to wire. So we wanted that to be wire. Let's go ahead and process that erection view and go back into Drawing Editor. Go into our erection views and roof plan. We'll see that that member's still hidden, and now we have our wired frame there. Now, doing something as a manual erection view to make it wire, stick, or solid, in 2020, we gave you an easier option for, say, just changing this little area to wire. Maybe made a mistake and I wanted to have this area in wire as well. If I come up to this member here, and I'm going to do an erection view cleanup just by double clicking on it, this option is there with erection view cleanup edit several as well, but I have my member style. So I can select this to be in wire, or maybe I want it to be in solid, and it's going to update that drawing automatically and include that. Well, maybe I don't want to see that line there anymore as well. Let's go ahead and edit this, and we can turn off our member line as well. Now, along with this option for member style, we do give you the option for your line type, for your member line in drawing editor, pen number, wire line type. So if I do have this in wire, what type of line do I want for this wire line type, and then wire pen number as well. We also have options for left end shear tab symbol, right end shear tab symbol. System, it's going to take whatever settings I have in setup for showing that shear tab symbol, or I can override it. Maybe it's showing on there and I want to hide it. If we come down to this beam right here, I believe it's this beam that's, there we go. Let's grab this beam right here and edit this one. Now, by default, there is a system shear tab there on the right end. We want to say now that that's going to be hidden, we can turn that off. Maybe I want that on the near side. I can decide where I want that to be. Now, that just looks silly, so we're going to go back and we're going to change that back to system, which it will take the settings from the system and it gives me that shear tab in the correct location. So, and I have a little bit more control over my shear tab symbols. We also have our show stair outline that we covered in one of the previous webinars. The show member orientation indicator, I can turn that member orientation indicator off right here, and then the MOI scale or member orientation indicator scale as well. Then I also have a left end and right end moment symbol, kind of matches the shear tab symbol, where I can have that system, which if there's a moment on one of these connections, it's going to give me that moment symbol, or I can hide that, or maybe there is no moment here, but I want to show a moment symbol. I can show that moment symbol. And like in previous versions, if I highlight that, I should be able to grab it and move that symbol around. Now, these options are stored within the member line itself. So if I change the line type or the wire line type, the line type for sure, that information is going to be stored with this member. So if I redetail this erection view, that is going to be kept with that member. So it's going to show that line type again. We can go ahead and demonstrate that. Let's go to a member line that we can clearly see here. If we edit this one right here, we change this one to a nice dashed line there. Let's go ahead and save this. And this is our roof plan. Let's go ahead and redetail that erection view. And that was our roof plan, which is a manual erection view. We'll go ahead and say okay. Keep all of our settings that we had before. Went through, redetailed that. Let's open up roof plan. And our line type is still set there. So it does save that information. Now, the member line pens, in my settings, I do have the option to reset those. If I go to my, let's just go to drawing data. If I go to settings here under my appearance tab, there should be an option to reset those. There we go. Reset member line pens right here. If I check that, it's going to reset those. So I do have that option for resetting that there. And I can do that when I'm detailing it as well. I have those settings. I just went into the actual drawing settings themselves and did that there. Now, the last item that we're going to cover before we get into questions are detail views. I told you that we could take an area that a certain area of a drawing and either blow it up, keep it the same scale, but we can have a separate drawing that we can manipulate to get a better view of maybe a certain area of our drawing. Let's go ahead and I'm just going to open up. Let's say no to saving that, and we're going to go ahead and open up B7. So here we have a beam. One end has a welded moment connection. The right end has a simple clip angle bolted connection. But we're just going to take a certain area of this and we're going to blow it up or create a separate detail for that. So my detail views are under my objects pull down windows. I have detail views, add, edit, erase, and erase all. So we're going to go ahead and do an add. Now, just like any other option within Drawing Editor, it's going to ask me to shorten it. Let's go ahead and unshorten this drawing. And we're just going to take this simple area down here. Now, we could do this in a more complicated area, but just for this first demonstration, I wanted to show it in a nice little simple area here. And we are going to create this detail view. So what it's looking for right now is a bounding box for this detail view. So I'm going to go ahead and draw a box here that incorporates all of that information. So on this detail view area box that I have here, it is going to ask me some information. So there's first area is shared attributes. So the annotation, what is this detail called? I'm just going to simply call this detail A. The area. So this is the area that I selected from my left point to my right point, the area height and area width. Now, when I'm drawing that box, I want to be sure to grab the right area because once I say okay to this screen, I am not going to be able to modify that. Then I have an area shape. I have a rectangle or circular. Now, I said I can't modify it. I can delete the view and recreate it very easily. But as far as editing that shape of the box that I'm drawing here, the area that I'm looking at, I can't do that once I say okay here. Area shape, rectangular or circular. Maybe I want a circular view, or I'll just stick with the rectangular view. Show on original drawing. So what this is going to do is allow me to create a detail view here on this drawing, and maybe I want to apply it to another drawing, or maybe a sheet, a detail sheet, or maybe even an erection sheet that I can show it on those other drawings. Now, if I say show on original drawing, it's gonna prompt me right now to place this drawing once I say okay. If I uncheck that, it's not gonna prompt me, but I'll still have that detail view that then I can put on other drawings. Now, even if I put it on this drawing, I can still put it on other drawings as well. Then I have the original area attribute. So the original area is going to be that area that I drew that box around. It's going to give it a prefix, a call out. The call out prefix is going to be whatever I say here, det dot, and then a. Do I want to add a frame to that? Do I want to frame this area out? what type of frame style, the frame color, pen color, and leader placement default, or do I want to select how I want that to, do I want to select the position of that? We're just going to go with the default right now. And then my detail view area attributes. So this is going to be the box that I'm going to place. Once I go and edit this, I'll have options for layers. It's showing me what view it is. The callout prefix, this is going to be detail A. Add name of creating drawing to the callout. So underneath the actual callout detail A, do I want to know that this is part of drawing B7? Well, I'm just putting it on this drawing right now. I don't really care if it has that callout prefix. But if I say I'm putting it on another drawing, I may want to know what drawing that this was created from. So we'll go ahead and check it just so we can see what that looks like. Scale base, maybe I want to blow this up. I'm going to blow this up to the base of 12. I'm going to say 3. Do I want to scale my labels? Do I want to add a frame to this detail view box? The frame styles, pen color, what type of font do I want to use, font style, character height, width, height ratio, and then my annotation. And then we have this option for auto update. I'll get to auto update here in a second once we edit this. We're going to go ahead and say OK here. And we have this new drawing here, detail view, that we're going to place. So now I have this area that I drew a box around, gave me my border, telling me, calling out as detail A, det.a. Then I have my actual detail view over here, detail A, and then here's that B7, the creating drawing call out there. And then I have my information that is included in here. Now, I did not scale labels, so I have the same scale of labels. So this might be an area that, you know, maybe I want to put some more dimensions here, or I want to dimension this area on this detail view, but I want to get rid of the dimensions on the other view. Well, what this did was this created a brand new drawing that is linked to this original drawing. Now this brand new drawing can be separate. I can add dimensions to it. I can delete dimensions. They do not have to be identical to each other. So what I can do is I can open up my detail view. So right now, if I double click on this, it's just going to bring up my edit box for the actual detail view itself, where I can take off the frames. Can't change the size of that view at this point. But I can do some options here. Maybe I need to rescale it. All of those options are available there. What we're going to do is we're going to open up this actual drawing and manipulate maybe those dimensions that we have there. So if I go to my open drawing, we're going to go ahead and save this. Now, there is an option here. I have B7, but over on my column over here on the right hand side under submembers, I have detail views. If I click on detail views, any detail view that I've created in any drawing, maybe I have multiple, will show up in this list. Here I have B7 and the detail view is A. Maybe there's a B7B, B7D, C, maybe B23 has 3 detail views. They will all show up in this list. Right now I'm going to go to B7.A, and right here I have my detail view. This is that area that I selected to create that detail view. Maybe I want to come in here and manipulate these dimensions. Maybe I want to add some more dimensions. Oh, we're just going to add a dimension right there. Just to show you what we can do. Maybe we want to put some text in there. I don't know, whatever I want to put in there. And we'll add that text right there. So here we've manipulated that a little bit so we can see it a little different. Maybe I want to let's go ahead and delete this dimension, just so we can see our differences here. Okay, so we deleted that dimension. Let's go ahead and save this detail view. Let's go back out. Now, I only see my detail views here. That is checked. It remembers that checkbox. Let's go back to actual B7, and we will see that we have this detail view right here, and down here we have a separate looking drawing. So there are two separate drawings at this point that I can manipulate differently. Now, if I come in here and let's say that I want to modify this this call out box, because right now it's a lot bigger than it needs to be. I can't modify the original box, but on my call out box, I'm going to come in here and I'm going to say open detail view. So if I right click in my default toolbar, I have the right click open detail view. I also have the option in my pull down menus. So I can go right to my detail views. I'm going to go to B7A. We'll go ahead and save that. But if I come in here and I grab this viewport box and I shrink this up, it will affect what is shown on the actual drawing. So if I come in here, let's go ahead and do that. And let's make this a little bit smaller as well. And let's go ahead and save that drawing. Let's go back to B7. There we can see that that actual detail view drawing has been updated itself, but it didn't affect this view down here. So I can do the detail view, but I can't affect the original view. This can be done on any drawing type. I can do this on my detail, I can do it on a job standard, I can do it on a sub-material view, I can do it on an erection view. Any view type I want. Now, as far as I said that I could add these two different drawings, I can only add it to, so this is a detail view of a member detail itself. I cannot add this detail view to anything that I can't add a member detail to. I can go to any sheet, I can go to an erection view and add this detail view. But if a member detail cannot be placed on that actual view, I can't add this detail view. And I'll show you how we can do that. Now, I skipped over when we created this, the option for update. So let's go ahead and do that real quick before we get into another drawing type. So we're going to edit this view right here. We have some options here. We have the option here for auto update. What that auto update is going to allow me to do is when I detail this member, it is going to redetail following the settings of this detail view. It is going to redetail that view as well. So if I come in here to settings and I have these options here for preserve existing drawing annotations, all update drawing piece marks is what it is set to by default. Maybe I want a clean slate on that detail view. I can say none and it won't preserve any of those drawing annotations. My detail using templates and all of my options here, use generated dimensions, use generated annotation. So maybe I redimensioned the whole thing. I don't want to have those redimensioned, but I want to update the piece marks or whatever it might be. That auto update will allow it to redetail that with these settings. Now, if I turn off that auto update, that drawing is not going to be updated automatically. So when I redetail B7, that detail view is not going to be redetailed, which can cause them to be out of date. So if I uncheck this, say, okay, I go and change B7 to a non-moment connection, I am going to have a detail view with a moment connection there, welded moment connection, but my actual drawing will not show that welded moment connection. So just be careful with turning that auto update off. They can get out of sync there. But I do have the option here as well to synchronize. What synchronize will do is basically redetail that detail view with the settings and get it up to date. So if I have that auto update off, I redetail B7. I notice that they're out of synchronization with each other. I can hit that synchronize and synchronize those drawings. If I say yes here, we will see that it recreates that detail view and take all of my information off, and I have to replace that drawing. Now I have to go and clean that up again. So synchronize, basically what it does is it recreates that detail view, but it gives me the most up-to-date information. It makes them both exactly the same, taking that information off. So auto update will redetail it using those detail settings. Synchronize will make that exact copy of this detail view, redetailing and recreating that detail view. So let's go ahead and keep this one here. Now I said that we could put this on other types of drawings. Let's go ahead and let's open up our detail sheets and let's go to D1. So here I have a drawing on here. Let's go ahead and take that off. Now, maybe I want to have my detail views on a separate drawing. I'm going to show some of these details on a separate sheet. If I come in here and I go to my sheet item add and I go to B7, I do have the option over here for detail views. If I go to detail views, I can directly add B7A to this drawing. So if I come here, I will notice that I got the whole drawing B7A. I have one more step that I need to do. If I come in here and I edit this, well, let's get rid of that. Let's reopen this drawing. I've done something wrong. Let's create a new drawing and let's go with D2. Doing stuff live, always great. Catch myself doing something wrong and get those kind of mess ups. Here we go. Okay, so let's try that one more time. Let's do this more traditional way of adding that view. Let's take off our detail views. Let's actually just add B7 to this drawing. Now B7 is on that other drawing, so let's go ahead and say show all. We'll re-add this to this drawing because B7 is already on a drawing. I don't want to add this to the bill of material because it's already on another sheet. So let's go ahead and say no to adding it to the bill of material. We're just going to place this here real quick. Gives me the whole detail there. But what I can do, this is what I wanted to show you earlier, is I want to edit this viewport. It'll allow me to. There we go. Okay, so I'm editing the sheet item. Right here I have my sub-drawing type, viewport. That's the extent of this drawing, or I can say detail view A, which we're going to go to detail view A. Now, if there was other detail views, I could select those. We're just going to do detail view A. Now we get that B7 detail A. So all of that information is right there. If I have multiple of these, maybe I have a sheet here with all of these different details on them. This is where it comes into play that this is detail A on B7. So I do have those options of putting those on different drawings as well. This is a detail sheet. Like I said, it has to be that type of detail in order for that to be able to be placed there. So now let's actually go to an erection view and create one there. Go ahead and save that, that's fine. So we're gonna go to an erection view. Let's go to our roof plan. Actually, let's go to grid line 3. And let's say maybe we wanted to see this joist connection area a little bit better. We can go to our objects, pull down windows, detail views, add. Let's pick this area right here. And this time we're gonna do it in a circular. Oh, telling me I gotta put something there. We'll just say this one, we'll just call this one joist connection. And we're gonna do this one in a circular. We'll go with our different defaults. We'll scale this up to 0.25 and we'll go ahead and say okay. So now I have the circular, it's going to ask me to place that. Let's just go ahead and place that right here. So there I have my detailed joist connection. I have my call out here. This may be a case where I wanted to actually put that, pick that point where I want that to be. I can always just move this leader where I want it to be. But I have these two different drawings now. So now this is linked together, but they're two separate drawings. This is a detail view of this erection view. Now, this gives me a little bit more power, especially with the things we learned earlier. So if I open up this detail view, let's go ahead and save this first. Let's go ahead and open up this joist connection. With that information that we had earlier, let's go ahead and select these members right here and edit those. Let's change those to wire, say okay. Now we have our wire frames here. Let's go ahead and turn off our joist outlines. Now we don't see our joist outlines anymore. Well, we see that connection up close. We can modify these. Maybe we don't want to see the piece marks and section sizes. We just want to see that information. Maybe on this one, we don't want to see these joist girders either. So there we have that right there. Let's go ahead and save this. Let's go back out to our grid line 3. So now we have that detailed view of the joist connection in wire, and our original drawing is still in stick. So that being able to modify that wire, stick, and solid on the fly really helps in this case because I have the detail view where I can show that. Now, if I want to put this on a separate drawing, I can do that as well. Maybe I want to know that this is on B3. I can add that name of creating drawing to the call out, say okay, and now I know that that's on erection view 3. Grid line 3. And I can, now I didn't show this before, but let's say that I want to turn this off, show on original drawing. When I do that, it keeps this detail view here, but it doesn't show it on that original drawing. Now, if I go to my erection view, erection sheets, I create a new sheet. We'll just say E1 or E exclamation point, I guess is what I called it. And we'll just do this on 24 by 36. We'll do our item add. We'll go to number 3. We'll place number 3 just like we did before with the detail. If we edit this, and I'm not doing a very good job of selecting it. There we go. I'm trying to pick the line, and all I need to do is pick inside the box. That's me forgetting that. So if we want to come in here, we want to go to our detail view, joist connection, say okay. Now we get just our detail view there. Now, if I want to delete a detail view, let's go back to B7 and I come in here. Now I can simply come in here and select it, hit my delete key. Now B7 is gone from this drawing. Now remember, I did add that to a detail sheet. I'm going to go ahead and save this. If I go back to that detail sheet, that was D2, that no longer exists. There's still a viewport here. That is because B7 still exists, but the detail view for that does not anymore. I can come in here and I can rearrange this, go back to the extents. That is still there, but that detail view is gone, so that viewport of that detail view is gone as well. So just be aware of that, that if I delete that from that original drawing, it is going to delete it from all of the drawings that I put that on. Now, if I go to, say, my erection view, let's go back to our erection sheet, and I delete it here, it's not truly deleting that detail view. I'm deleting the item that I added here. If I go back to my erection view number 3, that detail view is still there. It's still available to put on whatever sheet that I want it to as well. Now I can put this on a sheet. I can also go to another erection view and put that detail view as well. I'm at the last drawing. Let's just go to another erection view, and I go to my sheet item add. My erection views are visible here. I can go ahead and add those detail views to, say, another erection view. Maybe there's a detail that's shared between a bunch of erection views. I can do that. Now, the benefit of doing this over, say, a job standard detail or a global standard detail is that it is kept up to date as long as I have that automatic detail on there. It's going to keep up to date with whatever the drawing is that it was created from. So there are a lot of benefits, and it also does some annotations for me already. It's kind of a quick, updatable job standard detail that I'm creating with my detail view. That is what we have to cover today. Let's go ahead and we covered our weld, size, length, visibility, moment flange plate prep, bolts, nuts, washers in the bill of material, detailing erection views, the 4 detailing filter, the manual versus automatic, and then detail views to get that more detailed view of a certain area of our drawing. I am going to go ahead and it looks like we've got a few questions. I'm going to go ahead and try to answer those questions. But for those of you that don't want to stick around for the questions, I thank you for coming out. But I'm going to go ahead and look at the questions and see what we can answer here. And it looks like James Schwartz was here, but he left. He gave me some tips that it looks like we covered along the way. So someone asked, this is on the lines of the wire frame that we did before. Let's go back in here. So the question was, if I do this as wireframe and I trim that wireframe up, so I come in here and I maybe do some modifications to that, do a clip area, does that regenerate when I redetail? So let's just take a look at that. So when I go in here, and this would be like cleaning it up. We took some lines off. We deleted some information. My actual member lines I can't delete, but we'll go ahead and get rid of a couple of those lines. Now, when I regenerate this, is that information going to come back? Let's go ahead and this is drawing stair tower. Let's go ahead and go to a different drawing and let's redetail drawing stair tower. And detail our erection views. And let's go to stair tower. It is a manual. We'll go ahead and say okay. I believe it's going to rebuild that wireframe that was selected and deleted. Yes. So it does not, it stores that it is wireframe, but it rebuilds that wireframe as we go along. So I'm guessing what you're asking about is this long piece right here. Maybe I just want to see this area. I want to clip a certain area off here. It's not going to remember that. But if I do say a detail view of that, I'm only seeing that specific area, which is kind of like a clip and showing the inside of that. So that might be an area of what you're looking for as far as doing that with a detail view. Let's see. On the in the modeling area, asked about the type of full pen weld for this plate. Let's go ahead and just grab these two and hide unselected members. Can I change that weld type? Let's go to our weld. Now I can modify it in my weld edit, but I cannot change the type of weld that it creates. It's going to create a bevel groove, flare bevel groove. I can change it here, but I cannot change it as a default. There's no default for what that's going to be, I believe. I'm guessing it is a graphical connection now because I modified that weld. Now, one thing on the nut bolts, this isn't a question, but I just remembered, if I go and edit that bolt, I showed editing this bolt and changing this call out. This does not change the connection to graphical, so I changed that call out. If I go back to my default and I edit this member, well, this was a silly place to show this because this member was already graphical, but if we change that off of graphical, change my weld back, but that bolt should still be set as that. So it will not make it graphical to set that. Let's try that again. Now we can edit the beam. It didn't hold that before because that was graphical, and then I reprocessed it, but we see that that's not graphical anymore. And we go back to the bolt itself, and it should still be marked. There we go. Let's see what else we got. Can we do a circle selection? So when you do a selection, this is on the detail view. When I do a selection with that circle, if I come in here and let's just go ahead and do another detail view, add. So when I grab that box there, and let's do this in a certain way that we can see where that circle ends up. Let's go detail view, add. Let's just pick from here to here. And we're going to do circular. We'll just call this one EEE. Say OK, and we'll place that. We'll see that the circle fits outside of the box. So it's from corner to corner. That's the diameter of that circle that's being created. So when I do a circle, I'm not selecting a circle area, but just know that the box that I select is going to fit inside of that circle. Someone asked, is there an option to save as a cleaned up erection view? So if I'm in here, can I do a save as? There is no option to do a save as. What I could do, doing a detail view would allow me to kind of do a save as, creating that, when I do a detail view, I could select the whole drawing itself and create a detail view and have a separate drawing for that. But that's as good as I can get there. Someone telling me my 1 hour is up. I can go over with questions though, I think. Regarding detail views, does the naming convention of the detail view update when you place your beam on a sheet and change the beam detail name to the sheet number? For example, B7 gets put on a sheet. Okay. Does the detail view name get updated to 20B2? Yes, it does. Yes, it does. It will get updated with that. Can you add a detail view by just clicking the detail view filter without adding the original detail and editing the detail? That's what I tried to do earlier, and what that actually does, and as I was doing it, I kind of started understanding it. I didn't explain it, but I will explain it now. So if I go to my detail sheet and let's go to D1, where I added that B7. Now I added the detail view of B7, so let's just go ahead and get rid of this one here. So if I go to, and B7 is gone, so let's just actually do my erection view. So if I come in here and go to my sheet item add, and we go to erection views, if I go to detail views, I have these different detail views. What it's going to do, those are separate drawings themselves, so it's going to load in that whole drawing. It's not going to load in that viewport of that drawing. So if I actually want to do it, I have to go in and add in that erection view by doing it that way. I'm not sure if I can do... sheet item add. Yeah, unless there's some other way that I don't know of, I do have to go in there and modify that. It's a couple extra clicks, but it's there. Can you do a single bevel prep in the model for CJP welds? It's only going to prep what the system does automatically with that. There is options, though, when I add a weld manually that I can get it to do that weld prep. So someone asked, what is even the point of the extra manual erection view window if we can change the members from stick wire, etc., on the fly in the view? You know, it's been it's kind of one of those legacy things that certain people have different maybe routines that they do. But yeah, I get there's not going to be as much need for it. It is nice that it does manual store the hidden views, that those stay hidden. And I guess they do with automatic, but there's also the display options that it stores with that. There's some things that, you know, maybe in the future we can actually store with doing in a manual erection view as well. So I think we're going to keep it around for now and let it go from there. So someone asked, did you go over the item you passed on from the last webinar? And that was pour stops. I believe that's what you're talking about. And with pour stops, there was supposed to be in 2020 a pour stop component as well as a pour stop custom member. The pour stop custom member, I think, is in there in 2018 as well, but they pulled out the pour stop component, which hopefully will be coming in 2020i in the summer. There were some issues with that, so I didn't really cover it. But the pour stop member is basically picking the 2 points, kind of like the parametric that we had before, and I think that's been covered in other webinars as well, so I'm probably not going to go over that. Someone asked, is there any helps built in outlining what actions will flip an eView from automatic to manual? Basically, the anything to do with the visibility of that member line. So if it changes from stick to solid or to wire, then it will change to a manual erection view, or if I hide members, it will change to a manual erection view. Now, simply, if I click through that manual erection view window, it's just going to store that information and then detail it like it normally does. So it's not, it's, it's one extra click to go through that window if I don't want to adjust anything. So it's fairly easy to get through if it does get created into a manual. But those are the two main things that are going to change it to a manual erection view. And someone asked, can you explain the uses of template and detail drawings? This is going, back quite a few versions with template detailing. Templates are basically an easy way for us to adjust detailing on the fly. Template detailings, we have non-programmers doing template detailing. They're probably becoming programmers now by getting in deep with template detailing, but we can make adjustments a lot quicker with template detailings. If there's something that a bunch of customers request, and we're still 3 months out from getting a new version, sometimes we can create a new template, ship that off to the customer, and their details will be corrected. We also offer a service for template detailing that if you have kind of some one-off type details that you do, we'll create specific templates that do that information for you. If it's something that everybody wants, obviously we're going to create those templates and give them to everybody. But if it's a one-off thing, there's a service there that you can buy. Are you able to do a DXF format by using the eDrawings with all detailed information such as the moment plate connections shown in the DXF export? Yeah, you should be able to do a DXF drawing export. I'm not sure why you wouldn't. Maybe there's something more specific there. If you want to shoot support an email and kind of give them more of an example, that might be helpful. Well, I want to thank everybody that's still around. It looks like we got about half the people still here, but I want to thank you guys for attending the seminar today, and if you attended any of the other ones, and hopefully we'll have more of these going forward. I know Doug and Michelle have a seminar kind of wrapping up the NASCC virtual convention on Friday, and we'll probably have some more webinars that are popping up, and you guys can get some more information. But hope everybody stays safe and healthy out there, and hopefully we see you all soon at either a users group or some other type of convention. Thank you guys.